What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Office of the Day. Today we have my dear friend Kaden.cowels. Kaden.cowels, excuse me. I have a little bit of a weird enunciation today, but he's joined the show. We're going to talk a little bit about real estate, maybe a little bit of crypto, but today the focus is going to be real estate and why homeowners should start looking at buying now. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Right on. So my name is Kaden.cowels. I work for the beer home team here in San Diego. I've been in real estate for a little over almost 4 years. And it's honestly like I joined real estate at like probably the craziest time possible. I've always been like interested in real estate. I was like helping out like my aunt growing up, like doing like open house signs and stuff like that. My grandma was like really into real estate. That's like instead of parking her money in a bank, she always told me to park your money in real estate. So I had all those like feelings like going forward, like after college, like, oh, real estate might be like a cool thing to do. And I was a finance major. So I actually took 2 of the 3 classes you needed to take in order to get your real estate license, or in order to take the test in order to get your license. So took 2 of them in college. As soon as I graduated college, I was working at a CPA firm for a while, and it was the same job I had in college. So it was kind of like, the job was set up to where I could like study while I was working. Like if I needed to leave, it was very lenient, not a crazy amount of work. So while working there, I was able to finish up my 3rd class, got the test schedule, immediately started crash coursing it. And I got my real estate license right before the pandemic. So quite possibly like the craziest time to like get your real estate license and actually start doing it, rather than just kind of watching the market and seeing how people operate in it. And I was doing it congruently while working as a financial analyst for Northrop Grumman. So it was, I'd always had 2 jobs like growing up my whole life. Like I always did like construction or working at Jamba Juice, or like I did adventure water sports and Campline and did construction. I'm kind of like a psychopath. Like I can't stop moving ever. So I always need like a lot of things to keep me busy so I don't get bored or anything like that. So I graduated college, went straight into finance, got my real estate license. And when we got sent home from the pandemic, I worked from home. So I went from working 9 hours a day behind a computer 5 days a week. And I was able to kind of figure out my job so well that I finished all my work in like the first 4 hours of the day. So the rest of the day was just like I got to dedicate to real estate and like learning, educating myself, and seeing like how real estate would work. And again, I got my license not knowing what I was going to do with it. Just have my license. If a friend or a family member wanted to buy a house, they knew that they had someone that they trusted like right at their fingertips. I had a good friend in our fraternity actually in college reach out to me. His name was Daniel Martino, and he said, "Hey man, I know you're doing your financial analyst thing. I know you just got your real estate license. I actually have had my real estate license for a number of years. I just switched over to this new brokerage that just opened up within the last like couple of years called Fathom Realty." And it was kind of a break off of Keller Williams. And he brought over his mentor from Keller Williams, and they were starting their own team. And he's like, "Listen, we just need team members right now. If you want to be part-time, like jump in a meeting or 2 once or twice a week. And your first couple of deals, I'll hold your hand through the whole process so you know exactly what you need to do." And I thought that was great. I was like, perfect. So I get to have my finance job, I get to have like my real estate job, and I pretty much have someone holding my hand for both real estate, which is perfect, you know? Real estate got really into it. Immediately within the first couple months, I had like friends and family reach out to me, and we started doing deals. I had one friend that was like 3 deals in one. Like we were buying her and her sister a condo. We were selling her parents' house, her mom's house, and then we were buying her mom a new townhome because she was downsizing because the siblings were moving out closer to college. So right off the bat, it's like boom, 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 3 deals right out the gate. So I was like, okay, so I know how to sell a house, I know how to buy a condo, and I know how to buy a townhome. So I knew like kind of everything right away. And then I did a couple more deals that year. And then I went into just kind of like a period where my finance job wasn't making me happy anymore. I was making a lot of money in real estate. I was making a lot of money trading stocks and cryptocurrency, finance major. That's like the type of finance I like, not the corporate finance I was doing. Right. And I kind of saw the writing on the wall, and I was like, this whole sitting behind a computer all day long, not barely talking to anybody, not getting like the stimulus that like I really wanted. I was like, you know what? I think real estate is like really my thing. And as soon as I kind of made that mental connection, like I think this is what I should be doing, immediately I started getting like better and better at real estate. But the problem is right when I kind of started making that decision, my business partner Daniel moves to Tennessee. So I'm left with just his mentor, who's awesome. Kelly Tingle is like the best mentor. She was like the best like start for like my real estate career I could have possibly asked for. But to do real estate full time, that brokerage is more set up for people who are seasoned real estate, veterans. Like they had been in the business for 10, 20, 30 years. They've got a book of business. And the reason that Fathom is so appealing is that their splits for commission were significantly higher than, let's say, at EXP, where I'm at right now, or at Berkshire Hathaway, or even Keller Williams, where that was a break off of. And how splits work is, I assume you know, like how I make my money is I make a certain percentage of the sale or purchase of a property.
Right.
And it's actually the seller who pays both sides. The seller pays all 6%. So I get paid when the property closes. So when you work on a team, if you work for just yourself, you make almost all of that aside from like what the brokerage, like that, like your overhead, costs you. But when you're on a team and you have access to resources, multiple people, off-market listings, of lead funnels, you kind of have an even lower split. So let's say my split was 3% on the sale of a property. Well, I actually on Fathom Realty, for the first 12 deals, you get 65% of that 3.5% or that 3%. And then as you move on and get better and better, you get up to, I think it was like 75 or 80% of that 3%. Now, over at my team right now, it's all dependent on like where the lead comes from. Like the home I'm selling this weekend, that's from my sphere of influence. Like I brought that lead to the team. So since it's it's still one of my first, I've only been on this specific team since October. Since I'm still under my first 20, I think so, deals on this team, I get 55 or 65% of the SOI, but they feed me so much stuff that there's some leads that I do almost no work for. I get a text saying, hey, they want to go see this property. Boom, I open the door for them. Hey, I want to write an offer. Write the offer, get them under contract. All I'm doing is negotiating. I did almost no work for that. I think I get like 35 or 45% of that based on where the lead came from.
That's really helpful. Yeah.
But here's the thing. If you were to look at Fathom or like versus the Beer Home team, is what's 0% of zero? It's zero. That's how much you're making when you don't have any leads or any potential buyers or anything coming through your pipeline. Whereas if I consistently get anywhere between 1 and sometimes as crazy as even like 3 to 5 clients a day working on this team. So that being said, the cost difference makes so much more sense. I don't mind paying them most of it when I'm still getting a good chunk of change just from doing nothing, you know? So that's a little bit of insight. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a little bit of insight about like how teams and splits work. So that's why at Fathom, I was noticing, wow, I don't have a very, very large book of business. I've only been in this for like 2 years at this point. Like I've sold under 10 properties. Like I think I need more in my pipeline. I need more opportunities. And there just wasn't a lot of opportunity for brand new agents on that team. Whereas this team, it's designed for new agents. It's designed to get your book of business up and running. And we're the #1 team in San Diego. Like we sold over 700 homes last year. We were actually recognized by Wall Street Journal as one of the top 25 teams in the nation.
Wow.
And Dan himself is a master communicator. Like I cannot express, like whenever he is speaking, you are just locked into what he's saying. And we have some of the craziest masters of communication on our team that they could sell water to a ski boat. They could sell or how one song says, you could sell evil to the devil. These guys like know their stuff, and they're extremely knowledgeable about the market. So we got the opportunity to join them in October. It's been smooth sailing ever since, and I couldn't be happier with like the career choice I made, because I went to college for finance, a very rigid career. 4 years, did a little bit of real estate, a little bit of interest in that. Obviously learned about stocks and cryptocurrencies, which we can go into later. Yeah, that was a good portion of where my income came from as soon as I decided to do real estate full time. Because in the process of switching teams, it's like, oh, where's this consistent, $75K I was making a year, like over at the salary job? It's like, that dries up, and you need to replace that with something. So that's what led me to the beer team. That's kind of my background in real estate. and kind of how I got into it versus finance.
Shout out to the beer home team. It sounds like you're on a great team and nothing but expansion. So any of you guys that are coming into the game, definitely something to consider, but make sure to come with your A game or else, you won't be a part of the team.
Absolutely. You gotta want it. You gotta want it for sure.
You gotta want it. You gotta hustle, right? I mean, I don't imagine that they take on any slackers there,
Not at all. Not at all. Only killers. Only killers. The waters are full of blood nowadays, and you need to be the biggest shark in the water if you want to succeed in the real estate market now.
Absolutely, it always has been. So that leads to the perfect plug. I know you've been getting this question a lot. I mean, I've been seeing it all around on YouTube, everywhere right now, especially talking to homeowners that I deal with SunPower. Tell me a little bit about why homeowners, if they're looking or thinking about buying, why they should do it now as opposed to later in the year, because alone just with the APR standpoint.
So you kind of jumbled out two things. You said a homeowner looking to buy right now.
Yeah, a homeowner looking to buy. Excuse me. Yes.
Okay, so if I can, okay, so yeah,
buyer
looking to buy right now.
Yeah.
Well, right now, so when I joined a number of years ago, everyone was raving that like interest rates were below 5%. Everyone was like ecstatic about it. Everyone was very, very happy. And now as soon as I got into it, when COVID happened, like we saw interest rates go as low as like below 2.5 sometimes. And that is absolutely unheard of. Like money was
1.85, 1.8.
Even crazier. Yeah, I've seen that too, but that's very, very, you gotta like never missed a credit card payment in your entire life, and you gotta have like millions of dollars in the bank and buying like a condo. It's like that person is never going to default ever. That's the most trusted loan you can write. Right. But that being said, like because of all the scares of everything, because like the economy was kind of like teetering with COVID, we saw interest rates drop across the board. And what that did is it freed up money to be very cheap to borrow. So people like you and I, we're in our early 20s, like mid 20s, like wasn't really liable like for our generation millennials to be out there purchasing properties for a while. But as we saw, Tom, our good friend, purchased a home through my team when I was working with Daniel. And then the house I'm currently living in right now, as well as 2 doors down, is all our same friend group. And they purchased these homes as well, like right as soon as COVID hit. As soon as COVID hit, they're like, perfect. Money's cheap, like might as well purchase a property. And like the twins that purchased the property, they did use a FHA loan since it was their first time buying a home.
Right.
And they split the 3.5% down. Like that's it. And then they filled the house with all their friends who were paying their mortgage. So they house hacked this. And same thing down the street. Colby did the same thing. He house hacked that house. And it couldn't have been a better decision buying as early on in the pandemic as they did when money was so cheap. Because not only are we seeing interest rates rise right now, but we've seen appreciation go up in hundreds of thousands of dollars for homes like these. Like people that even have a really strong pulse in the market sometimes don't even know what the true value of their home is, and can sometimes be off as much as $50,000 to $100,000 in the equity that they're holding in their home. Like, I'll give you an example. I went and met with a past client of mine, and she purchased a townhome up in Mission Valley in late 2020. And she bought it for $700,000. Beautiful townhome, was 3 bed, 3 bath. I think it was a little under 2,400 square foot. Had a killer view of not necessarily Mission Valley. Mission Valley was off to the left, like what's like right, like to the right, like Linda Vista, almost like USD area. It had a crazy good view. Right. And it was $700,000, crazy escrow, got it done. And she's been living in it. And she did the same thing. She had her friends move in, so she wasn't even paying a mortgage, or was barely paying a mortgage, which was awesome.
That is awesome. That's the best.
Reached out to her a couple of weeks ago, and our whole team's been doing this just because like we're starting to see that shift in the market. And I reached out to her and I was like, hey, Lauren, like just as your real estate agent, like it's my due diligence and my job, just like a CPA is going over your tax records, or a financial planner is going over your stock portfolio, or whatever a doctor goes over like your test results. Real estate, I need to show you what the true value of your home is. I need to show you how much equity that you have built up in there. So she's thinking like, oh, like, bought it for $700,000, might be worth like 5-10% more, maybe 750, maybe crazy 770. Her home is worth over $900,000 right now. So in less than 2 years, she's built up over $200,000 in equity that she could go get an official appraisal out there, pull a HELOC on it, pull the equity out of there, use that money as a down payment and buy another investment property and then rent that out and then have passive income.
Wow.
So a lot of people, and here's the thing, here's what's even crazier you can do with that. Our roommates right now, they pull, I think they're in the process of pulling a HELOC and their parents don't know they're going to pay off their parents' mortgage. Like that's some next level baller shit right there. So
Yeah, absolutely. That's amazing.
that being said, there's so many options that people just don't know because, like I said, even those with like an extremely strong pulse in the market don't know the true value of how much they actually have in their pocket.
Wow. And that's so crazy because, I mean, obviously we all have access to this information, but, most people our age, they're not really searching because either they really know about what's going on or completely are out of sync with what's going on. So that's really great. And I think it's great that you guys got to maximize and got to do that. I mean, my aunt too, she got a home in Oceanside for around the same, like 700,000. And now her house is worth at least $1 million. So it's like
absolutely insane. So if my advice is for the people that are looking to buy right now, I would say that this is kind of your opportune time because right now we're starting to see a slow in the amount of how much these properties are appreciating just in the last month because interest rates have gone from like that super low 2s to we're right at that 4.5, which is still really, really good if you were looking at 2019 or even early 2020. That 4.5 is still really good. We saw that drop just to like stimulate the market. Obviously inflation had to happen at some point, and this is just an example of it. So if you are interested in buying, I would say before interest rates go even higher, like they are guaranteed later this year, I think you have like a solid like three-month window before it starts getting like, and here's the thing, it's going to be, depending on where your price point is, it's not going to be thousands of dollars like the interest rate's going to affect you. It's going to be a couple $100, but then you got to think of that couple $100 month over month. So with interest rates rising, your ability to purchase being a slightly more expensive, and with the slowdown in the rising prices of homes in San Diego, plus we're seeing a lot more inventory as well. We're starting to see the slightest shift from a seller's market to a buyer's market. But personally, I don't like to use the whole seller's market, buyer's market, because there's always advantages for both, no matter what market we're in. It just depends on how you look at it. However, this is an extreme seller's market just because of how low inventory is. It's absolutely crazy. Like in a normal market, in an absolutely normal, everything's going smooth market in San Diego, there's anywhere between 5,000 and 7,000 homes for sale. I just checked it this morning. There's less than 2,000 homes for sale right now. And that's with the shift happening. At the beginning of this year, the first couple of weeks of January, there was less than 1,200 homes for sale, which was even crazier.
Well, that just means the demand is going to go higher. So definitely go ahead and don't wait, I wanted to ask, it kind of just came to me right now. So for people that are looking to buy or people that are looking to just kind of understand their home value and kind of just go with the experts and get to talk to you guys, what's the biggest difference that you see with your team or going through with you guys or getting even the sense of building a relationship and what you can offer compared to any other company that you've been so far, and like what you do like that you're, or in the sense of what services you're able to offer to your clients depending on the situation, of course?
I would say that's a two-parter. That's a two-parter. So I would say the first part is going to be the services that we provide to clients when we're purchasing properties. Like if I'm going to help a buyer out and I'm going to help them versus what like we see like a lot of other people in the industry do is it's called actively looking versus passively looking. And we're very proactive about our searches. So a normal agent will kind of get a little bit of criteria from you. They'll know what number of beds you want, what number of baths. Do you want a townhome, condo, single family residence, manufactured home? They get the bare minimum facts. And then they'll hop onto the MLS and they'll type in all that criteria. They'll type in your email and then they'll set up a drip and boom, that's all they have to do. And then they'll check their emails and, hey, I like this property. Can we go see it? Sure, why not? Blah, blah, blah. Like, and by the time that they're doing that, unless they are prepared to write a significant offer that day, right then and there, likely that property is going to be gone by someone else who's a lot more serious. Now, what we do on our team is we do a very active search. And we actually have access, being the size team we are, is we have access to a lot of off-market deals or a lot of coming soon properties, meaning that
Okay.
we can get our clients into a property before anybody else has ever seen that property. We actually create inventory on our team. Let's say, Mark, you come to me, for example, you really want a house on my street. You want a house on Root Street. Yeah, this is the street you want. I'm going to go door knock on every door until these neighbors pull a gun on me, pretty much saying, hey, I've got someone who wants to buy your property. Here's their pre-approval. Here's what their what do you call it? Here's their proof of funds. Like, they're ready to go. Like, what do we have to do to get into this property? And then, depending on like where they're at, like, oh, I'm not really in the mood to sell. You ask a little bit more information why, get to know the person a little bit better, see when they're looking to sell. So that way, right when they are, boom, I have your buyer. We don't even need to do any marketing. We don't need to put it on the MLS, Zillow, Redfin, whatever it is. Like, we create that inventory for our clients. So that's just like, door knocking, off market properties. We have a process called a 5-day Blitz that we do for all of our listings. We do a lot of stuff for our clients to make sure that we're getting them like the property they want at all costs. But there's nothing wrong with going on the MLS and typing in their information and having them like having a drip campaign sent to them. I still do that, absolutely, because I've got 50 to 100 clients I'm constantly helping out. I can't help every single one every single day. But
Right, of course.
once or twice a week, I dedicate the entire day and I scour online. I look at where they're looking. I reach out to them and say if there's anything that I've been sending them recently that really interests them, whether they like the property or the neighborhood, and I'll do my due diligence to get out there and find them a deal that's going to work absolutely best for them.
Yeah,
So
see, and I think that's important.
oh
Yeah.
yeah, that's for buyers. That's for
Okay.
buyers.
Okay.
Now,
So
for sellers, if sellers are in the process of looking to sell, what we do, what the typical industry it does, is what we call a list and pray. They take a couple photos with their iPhone, they upload them to Zillow, MLS, Redfin, and they put an open house sign in the front yard, or they put a for sale sign in the front yard. They list it and they pray that the market comes to their property. In this market, it's not the worst thing to do. But in a normal market, you need to bring the market to that property, which is what our 5-day Blitz is part of. And I'm not going to reveal all the secrets of what we do with our 5-day Blitz, or
no,
like
you can't. You can't. I
all,
won't ask you to.
all the
That's
things
not
that
fair.
we do to bring people to the market. That's like for if like you're interested in selling, I can do a full-on listing presentation for you. But we have very specific methods to make sure that that property is sold and it's sold quick. We actually have on our team, the average that we've been selling all of our homes for just this first quarter is 108% of their list price. That's how much the average that our homes are going for. We had a home go for 130% of its list price last week. We had a home go
People are buying above their listing price. Yeah, I mean it's more limited, right?
we had a home. I had a house. I had a listing a couple weeks ago. It was a 3-bed, 2-bath, 1,400 square feet out in Santee. Beautiful backyard, right across the street from Santee Lakes, like a 4-minute walk. I personally love the house. We had great activity there on the day of the open house. I think we had like 30 groups come through, plenty of talk about offers. I was bringing in a buyer to buy that property. I was like, hey, I got a property for you. Like, I'm working with the listing agent. Like, let's get this thing done. And they came in at, the property was listed at 759, by the way. They came in at 800 and we thought like, oh, shooing, I came in 42K over ask. But totally makes sense, right? Someone came in at 875 all cash, no contingencies, closed in 17 days. So 100 and like over 120 over, or 115, 116 of like list price, 116K over and all cash. So in this market right now, it's kind of crazy. Like you think like, oh, no matter what, your home's going to sell, but it's like, how much over is your home going to sell for,
Yeah, and that's the problem. I mean, my aunt has been trying to buy a home, but these people keep overbidding her and it's the same issue. People are overbidding, buying 30% over listing price, depending on the property, depending on where it's located. So it's like, man,
You have to have the right strategy going in. Like I would almost suggest, like if you're pre-approved for $800,000, don't be looking at homes like above 750, 750, so that you can offer that whole 800 and have a little bit more like leverage with your strategy.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I mean, when you're factoring in the sorry, I thought I was on mute. When you're factoring in everybody buying above listing price, you better come in with a little bit of wiggle room.
A little bit of pizzazz, a little bit of
Yeah,
extra pizzazz.
extra pizzazz. So
Yeah.
another thing I wanted to side into real quick, because it still ties back along to real estate. I don't know if you were still doing it, but last time you were telling me how you had started your Airbnb business. Are you still doing that? And is there any tips you can give to people on how they can potentially start?
Yeah, so I last year, so again, going back into like my opening monologue of how like I'm on constantly fidgeting, I constantly have
You don't
something
stop.
I always, I mean, you've been seeing me, I haven't sat still. I've thought about like, because I have a standing desk, I've thought about standing up and just like pacing back and forth for a second. But I started this business back in April 2020, and I'm not gonna lie, I literally saw someone on Instagram doing it, and they were doing this thing like how they set it up was like, how would you like to get rental income and like rent out properties and not own it? And I was like, do tell. So I purchased this guy's book. I took his little webinar. It was a free webinar. It was like 45 minutes long, and just to like learn about what his business was. And he has a business called Rental Arbitrage. And at first, you kind of think about it. You're like, how are you going to pitch that? How are you going to sell that? Because how the business works is you essentially go to different homeowners or different landlords that are renting out their condos. For me personally, I have found it really beneficial to do the smaller the property, the better. So like 2-bedroom, 1-bedroom studios, like those work best, depending on the area, of course, too. So I created a pitch. Being in like sales my whole life and being in real estate, I knew I know how to sell using tonality. I know how to sell using like my charm, and I came up with a pitch for the idea that he was kind of like incongruent with like his company. And in San Diego was a little tricky, it's like, why would let me preface a little bit. How it works is like you create this pitch, you go to different homeowners and you say, hey, I would like to rent out your property so you get your full mortgage payment, and I'm going to take better care of your property than it's ever been taken care of. It's going to be cleaned by a maid multiple times a month. You're going to have professionals come in that are part of my corporate housing business, and I'm going to have government IDs. I'm going to know who's going in and out of the property. I'm going to manage it myself. I'm going to make a slight profit off on top of it, and I'm going to get the exposure that your property needs, and you're going to make your monthly payment, and you're never going to have to worry about anything. I'm going to handle all utilities. I'm going to handle all maintenance on it. Like, I'm going to consider this my property, and you're getting your payment no matter what. So obviously, like getting the pitch right and figuring out like getting some feedback from different homeowners, what's going to work, what's not going to work. I eventually, after about 15 different people I interviewed, I landed on the final one where I started my first rental arbitrage deal. And it was in this 1-bedroom, 1-bath in National City. I'm not going to lie, it's no fucking luxury hotel. It was already furnished, which is a huge plus. Like, I didn't have to buy any furniture for it. I just had to do like a couple setup costs. I had to figure out like a good check-in instructions. I had to figure out like what's the like good feedback from tenants, like what works, what doesn't work. And it started after, like I said, I started in April. And I was like, all right, I have a certain amount of money. Let's figure out. And I set up an LLC to make sure all the money was going to that, like, because it's not earned income, it's passive income. So I want to make sure I'm being taxed correctly on it and making sure that like it's separate from my real estate business and everything. So I started making a little bit of money with it. I was getting good reviews. I got good feedback from it. And it was making me enough money to pay my utilities in the property I was living in. So it was like, I was making like $200-300 a month. And I was like, oh, this ain't too bad, could be worse. Like I see the potential in this if I had like a mortgage where the payment would be a lot lower and I could have like a lot larger profit margin. Well, I listed it up until about, I'd say like June, July rolls around. And I have someone else in the building that I'm doing this in reach out to me. And his name is Alex. And he was like, hey, I own a couple units in this complex. If you do one of my 2-bed, 1-baths and like, you manage it for me. I'll give you all the other ones to rent out as well. So working with Alex really taught me patience, because he is a very, very cheap and didn't want to do any didn't want to sink any money into it, which was very different than the first deal I did. It was kind of like I got like a certain percentage of the profits plus all expenses paid. But he had like a broken AC, like he had a broken water faucet, like there was just so much repairs that needed to be done that like my ratings actually went down because he wasn't like fixing anything, or like he wasn't like working with me to fix things. And normally when I was renting the first one, like I said, like I'll take care of everything. We had a very different deal. So his unit didn't perform at the top that I wanted it to, but I was still making profit on it. I eventually got both all fixed up. I figured out all the issues with both of them, like, you know, and what it did is it taught me how to be a property owner without ever owning a property, and a property manager without like actually working for a property management company.
That's really cool.
So I really always liked the idea of Airbnb. And I always knew that like when I was ready to purchase a property, like I would be able to, like, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to Airbnb it out. And I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I know exactly like how, like years ago, I knew exactly kind of like how to like structure your different finances and like how to start like leveraging yourself and making money through like real estate. And I really wanted to do that, but I saw the lot larger profit margins with the short-term rental business. So time goes on. I think it hits like September. So I totally break even with my business. Like I was making profit, but not only that, I was making enough profit to pay the utilities, but I also was like paying off the debt that it took to set up the LLC, to set up all the other costs, which is like out of pocket. I think the setting up the first one was only $3,000. And because Alex had his set up and he had a lot, we had a lot different systems going with his, I think it was only like $700 to set his up. So out of pocket, like you're like under $4,000 for setting up 2 units. And then by the time that October rolled around, I was making enough money to not only pay my utilities, but I was also paying my rent as well. So it's like, okay, cool. One less thing that I have to worry about, you know, one less thing. And keep in mind, I'm also doing real estate at this time. So real estate, I'm like making all this money in real estate. I'm like, well, why not actually pivot this into owning a property?
Right.
So I actually purchased a home out in Arizona, which is about 2-3 hours away from here, out in Yuma. I grew up going out there with my family, and and we saw the city of Yuma. We go out to Lake Martinez, which is like 30 minutes outside of the city of Yuma, and we have a vacation home out there. But we started to see the city of Yuma really explode over the course of the last like 3 years that we were going out there, and we were kind of like, why is it blowing up? Why are there like 16 little Holiday Inn Motel 6s, like those like little inns that like have like maybe 150 max rooms, but there was it was like only like 16 of them on like this one like 10-mile stretch on the 8. And we couldn't figure it out. Me and my dad were like jarring our heads like, why is it like that? Well, what happened during the pandemic, like people were fleeing San Diego and Phoenix because of the rising housing prices. It's the only pass-through city between Mesa, Arizona and San Diego. So people want to stop in there overnight. Or you have it's a big snowbird community. So people coming down from Washington or Canada to stay for the winter for like long periods of time. And then it's also a great desert community. Like I said, I grew up going out to the desert and going out to the river out there. So you've got your off-road people out there, you've got your water people out there, you got like it's literally a booming town. So I was like, let's just see if this works. I had an aunt that lived out there. She thought it was a good idea. Found a property in November, closed it first week of January, spent almost all of February setting it up with my girlfriend. And that property, its very first month and I keep in mind, I have a very low mortgage on it, it being Yuma. I think I bought the property for under $150,000, and it was a 2-bed, 2-bath, like 1,500 square foot like house. So, and I had a lot of people kind of like, oh, that's not going to work. Like, why are you buying in Yuma? You know, like this and that. I made like so much money my very first month doing this property. Like March is my first month doing just that Yuma property. Like I said, the other properties were paying my rent and my utilities, and they like actually, so I raised prices recently, so they were paying for, I think, like my gas, you know, like, so they were paying for like little, like I was walking around as Kaden and being able to survive. This one made so much money, like its first month, that I paid off all the money I sunk into it, aside from like the down payment, the mortgage and everything, but all of like the, like setting up the beds, the cleaning the place, like furniture, this and that, I literally all the money first month, boom, profit, like already broke even and made a little bit of profit too. I think I made what, like out of the whole business, like just like everything I've sunk into the business, like I think this month I made like $300, you know, but like that means next month I'm making thousands of dollars, you know, and this is not, I don't have to do anything. I've got maids set up. I've got all the utilities set up for everything. Like I'm actually in the process of getting another like studio out in El Cajon, hopefully sometime by the end of April. And it's just something that like, it takes a lot of work. At first, the first 6 months, I'm not gonna lie, were like, I was losing hair. I was losing my mind over it because I was doing it by myself. You know, I didn't have a mentor. I was figuring it out like all on my own. And as I started to figure it out with the first two and I really locked them in, I had full confidence that I could go purchase a property and leverage myself in order to do that. And this month has shown that it was the right decision. And by the end of April, I'm excited to see what it does by the end of April because that's even bigger.
I'm excited for you. And then
Yeah.
by even the 6 months out, it's gonna be ridiculous, colossal.
That's what I'm hoping. That's what I'm hoping. Just keep collecting units. And I might even keep doing the rental arbitrage thing, even though I have like the funds now to start like purchasing more properties. Like I might just do the arbitrage just to keep getting more and more, just a couple hundred here, a couple hundred there, etc. Like why not, you know?
Why not? I mean, especially, I mean, if you can kind of delegate a little more so you don't have to want to rip your head out, you know, in the sense of being able to, you know, pay somebody to manage it just a little bit depending on what you have going on, because it sounds like you're pretty busy already. Um, Tell me about the desire. I mean, being in real estate, man, people don't understand like what you're going through in the sense of how much work you have to go into. So just for anybody that's going to be looking into where they're going into next, or if they are going to pursue real estate, like what does it really entail, especially, I mean, after you pass your test? I mean,
So, like I said, as soon as I passed my test, I was kind of thrown to the wolves, you know, like I didn't think I was doing anything with it at first. I was working my desk job. I was working from home. It was like we were in the pandemic. No one knew anything about anything. So I'm just sitting there with like real estate books. Like, let me see what I've got here. They're way too buried. I'm not gonna go grab them. But like I was just sitting there with real estate books, like trying to educate myself. Like I was just trying to like learn how the business worked, learn how like to communicate with people better because like I said, I was working a desk job. I wasn't practicing talking to people too much. I'm a social guy, but like, you know, I gotta figure out exactly how to sell again, you know? So if you had my advice, and things that I wish I would have changed when I first got into real estate
right.
was really, really nailing down your calendar and sticking to it. I think everybody should have a morning routine that has almost nothing to do with real estate other than writing down like I could go through my morning routine. I'll tell you right now. I get out of bed, I make coffee, and I make my list for the day. Like what are and it's not a whole lot of things because eventually you'll get things put into like your calendar and your whatever like CRM like service you use, which is like client retention management like systems, like which is mine. I use Salesforce. So get out of bed, make coffee, make a list for the day, and then I don't look at my phone for the first like 2 hours of the day. I like just like do my best to not look at my phone because I want to like figure myself out and figure everything I need to do and worry about myself before I ever worry about anybody else. I get my shit in order, then I can worry about other people's shit, you know? And then I try to read for 30 minutes to an hour, like whether it be like a real estate book or just something to stimulate my mind a little bit. I try to, I don't do it enough, but I try to meditate like for like 10 minutes, like at least just like do like a body check, you know, I'm into fitness and health and make sure that like, oh, okay, like is something wrong with my shoulder? Like how am I feeling right now? Like, am I distracted? Like, why am I distracted? Like, and just trying to not necessarily calm the chatter because you can never turn off what's going on up here, but like at least figure out like where you're at, you know, center yourself a little bit. So by the time I finish doing that, and I go straight into huddle, which is on my team. It's a 9:15 every morning, and it's just for 5 or 10 minutes. And we're just the whole team checks in. Like, how are you doing? Doing good. We're closing on this today. Oh, listing this property today. Closing that today. Oh, does someone need help? Oh, I have a potential buyer for this. Oh, I have a potential coming soon for this. Everyone just kind of shares feedback. There's some days that last 2 minutes. Like, you got nothing? You got nothing? Cool, cool, good. All right, off we go. Some days that last 20. And then right after that, every single day is 30 minutes of role play. And not what you think. So 9:30 to 10 is like as many people as that can attend, and it's usually put on by either Dan Beer, like who's the broker on our team, Brian, who's like the top sales agent on our team, or one of the other top sales agents on our team. Like, and they will run through different scenarios for role play. So one of the scenarios could be, I'll pull up one like right now. Let's say we're at the inspections, right? Let's say that I'm representing a buyer, and
Okay.
all right, you're the buyer, Mark, and you just got the general inspection. We're in escrow right now. Cool. Like, we're buying you your house. The first thing you do is you order a general inspection. You get a general inspector out there, and they're going to inspect every little detail about that property, like extremely thorough. It's going to be 100-page document. It's going to be a big, big document of every little thing that they pick out about that property. Now, let's say that you're really excited, everything's going good. It's oh, wait a second. What's this? They said the roof looks like it's rotting in. But how much is that going to be? Is that going to be like $10,000? Like, how much is that? So whether it be that, or whether it be like a number of line items, what we bring to the client is like, we role play that scenario. Like, how do you present it to them to where they know that, like, hey, we're gonna make this real easy for you. Don't worry, I've got you. Don't worry. Like, we're gonna bring your biggest concerns to the listing agent and the seller, and we're gonna see what we can negotiate down. And then it's my job to go into communicating with the listing agent and the seller, negotiating down the best price for my client, saying, hey, I know we have $30,000 worth of repairs. The biggest line items that are for the safety of this property is about $17,000. What can we do about getting $17,000 off of the listing price? Like, and it's just little things like that. It's like little scenarios. It's like another one that my favorite thing to do. So I call the open house pond. So anytime we have an open house, we gather the information of people that go in and out of the property, and we load it into our system. And then we call them back to check in on like Monday or Tuesday. Hey, will you be submitting an offer, this and that? Like, what was your feedback on the property? But if I'm trying to build up new clientele, I'll go in and I'll look at past clients, or I'll look at like the open house pond of the ones that were never contacted, or just like random leads in there. And I'll go through a scenario of like, hi, this is Kate, cold call. Hi, this is Kaden with the Beer Home Team. We met at 123 Main Street a couple months ago, and I just want to see if you found the perfect home yet. Like, and just be a resource to people. That's like the main thing, like in role play, is to like take the I out of it and really be there for the client, like, or be there for whoever you're talking to. Because as much as like real estate, you are the guide for your buyer or your seller, you need to be like on it, like you need to make sure that it is their experience and not just yours. You're the expert, but it is their experience. So,
yeah, educate and serve them, right? And be helping them ultimately.
Exactly. So that's role play. So I think that's mandatory. You should do that. Like, I think it should be done every day. I don't get around to it every day. I'm guilty as charged for that. I think it should be done at least 3 days a week. And then if you could see my calendar right now, I think getting your calendar just like narrowed down, like I'm going to do, like getting a routine, because in real estate, like you don't have a boss telling you what to do. You don't have like deadlines for things unless you're in escrows or you're doing inspections or having listing or buyer's consultations appointments. Like, you need to make sure that you are prospecting for a new business every single day. You need to make sure that you are keeping up with your clients every single day. You need to make sure that you're having time for your mental health every single day. You need to have white space activities in there to like go take a walk, like go have a cup of coffee, like go call your mom, like whatever it is, like you need to have that time in there, like go work out, whatever it is. Like, you need to have.
For you working out, it's working out for you, right?
Sure, I'm trying. Oh, that was good. But yeah, and just like little things like that, you need to make sure that like you're like actually honest with yourself about your schedule. Like, look at your schedule and don't overload yourself when you're first starting. There's no reason like that your schedule needs to look exactly like mine does right now, where if you were to go through today, did the whole morning routine, daily huddle, role play, sales meeting from 10 to 12. I do something called a first and 10 call. So like the first thing I do when I like start working is I make 10 calls. The last thing I do before I stop working is I make 10 calls. So I make my first and 10 calls. And then today was a lot of like, I did a lot of stuff for my Airbnb. So I was like running around like the different banks and like paying things off and like making checks for people. And then after that, I had my gym and my lunchtime. And then I had my last 10 calls. And then I have my end of day routine. My end of day routine, I think, is really necessary for a lot of people. Your morning routine, your end of day routine is you tidy up your workspace, you set kind of like an agenda for tomorrow, you look over your to-do list and make sure that you hit all the things on your to-do list. And then it depends on what you're into. Sometimes I like to journal. I like to get thoughts out of my head. Sometimes I'll do it at the beginning of the day, just like write like for like 5 minutes to just get whatever noise is going on up there out of your head. And then it's really important to actually rest. Like they say, like I've heard Elon Musk say, like, if you're not working 18 hours a day for your first 10 years or whatever, like, then you're not like actually like serious about like your startup or whatever it is. Like, I think your 8 hours is extremely important if you want to be as high energy as a real estate agent is like required. And just like I'd say that's the best piece of advice. It's just getting a rigid structure in and making sure that you have like required things that are bettering yourself and doing mainly revenue generating activities, which is bettering yourself like for your skill set, whether it be bettering yourself for like doing role play and like that, having that tool in like your tool house or whatever the analogy or like phrase goes, keeping your mental health and your physical health like in check, and prospecting for your business. Like those are like the main things you want to make sure that you have like up and running.
Always got to be prospecting. So what do you do for your clients? I mean, I'm curious now at this point in the sense of, let's say for just example, like a new buyer. I mean, I know we kind of already went over it, or is there any way that you personalize the situation or show that they're in the sense of building that credibility, like, hey, I'm going to take care of you, in the sense of like that initial call when they're like, yeah, you know what, I want to see what you can do for me or see what property you can find?
Well, I always like I go into every appointment and I go into like every meeting like what is going to make this person want to work for me? Why should this person want to work with me? And me being born and raised in San Diego, I bring a level of expertise to like the area that not a lot of real estate agents have. A good amount do, absolutely a lot. We're born and raised in San Diego, but were you like me that lived in like every single part of San Diego? Did you live in El Cajon, Jamul, Spring Valley, Alpine, Mission Valley, Bay Park, SDSU, like Serra Mesa now, like Linda Vista? Have you lived in every aspect of these downtown? Like my girlfriend lives in downtown. I practically know downtown like the back of my hand now. Like, have you lived in almost every aspect of San Diego, worked in every aspect of San Diego? I grew up doing construction. I know how to get everywhere because my dad was doing construction all over the place, still runs his tile and granite contracting business. Like, there's a level of expertise about San Diego that I have that maybe not a lot of agents who like moved here and stayed here after college or like got a job here back in the 90s and like have been here sorry, not 90s, like I was born in the 90s, like 2010 or something like that, and I've only been here for 10 years, or like I bring that level to my clients when it comes to that. When it comes to the buyer's consultation, I set it up where like a buyer's consultation is almost like three parts. Three-part is the initial phone consultation. I get to know them. I get to know why they're moving. I get to know a little bit about them. And then we set up the official meeting. And I try to do the official meeting in person. So that way they can put a name to a face. They can like get to know me a little bit better, ask me things that like maybe you're not just like comfortable talking to like a voice on the phone about. And when I'm going into the buyer's consultation, I need to let them know that like I'm going to be asking them questions that like they've probably never been asked before, like about their personal finances, about like their personal lives that like someone you don't normally tell to a stranger. So it's all about making them feel comfortable that you are like okay sharing this information with me because I gotta get you taken care of. Like, I'm gonna make this real estate thing really easy for you. I've got you handled. Don't worry about this. Like, this is your journey. I'm just the guy that's opening the doors for you. I promise. So that being said, a lot of buyers consultations are more or less the same. You get the same general information about why they're moving, what they're looking for when it comes to like bedrooms, baths, square footage,
Right.
type of home they're looking for. But there's a couple things that like I like to ask that like maybe not a lot of agents like to ask, like, is like for your religion, are you religious? Like, do you want your home facing north, south, east, or west for whatever reason, you know? Like, what are your preferred location? What is your purchasing power right now? Like, what are you comfortable with? Like, what is your idea going into this? Like, what do you want to get out of this? I need to get the top 5 things that they're like really interested in, like this home. Like, what are the number 5 like must haves? Like, does it need to have a pool, a view, 4 bedrooms? It needs to have a 2-car garage, and it can't have stairs. You know, like, are those like the 5 must haves? You know, what else do I have down? Sorry, I've got like my little sheet of questions like over here. I usually like to ask. Do you want it like updated? Do you want it to be a fixer upper? Like, what are you really looking for? You know, like, I got to make sure that like I know exactly how to preface you and how to make sure that you're having the best real estate experience possible and make it feel really, really personal, because it is really personal. It's the biggest purchase some people are going to make in their entire lives. And who's to know that they're going to buy multiple homes? This might be their one purchase, their forever home, and you're the guy that made it happen. So you become part of their family. I've got these 2 clients right now, Sean and Doreen, and they don't have any kids, but they're moving down here from Chicago. And I've been showing them property. We haven't found the right one just because like their financial situation is a little like tricky, like with the loan that we're trying to get them. But we've been looking at homes for probably the last like month and a half. And every time I see them, they give me a hug. They're so happy to see me. They're like thrilled. And like when we went and looked at properties actually a couple of days ago, the listing agent that was showing us the property, like, oh, like we have this like backyard or like this and that, like a plenty of room. Like if there's like a high school up the street, if you got kids, and they're like, nope, we don't got kids, just our real estate agent. Like, and like they made me feel like I'm their kid, just helping them like out, you know, like, and then that's like the fun part, you know, is like to actually really develop those like deep personal relationships.
Yeah, and that's so cool too. I mean, especially I mean, for the line of work you're in, you know, you're building relationships with all these people and, you know, helping them set up their life. So it's super cool getting to, you know, get to hear about that and seeing the back end. I'm sure once they close escrow and they finally start moving in there, on top of, I mean, obviously you getting your commission part, it's better for them because it's like they get the most out of the deal, really. I mean, you're working relentlessly to help them. And I know for you, it must be great seeing them get their keys and be able to go in.
That's what really sold me on like doing it full time. Is like my first clients, like it was actually, you know what, it wasn't my first clients. It was my 3rd client. And that's the one though. Oh, it was the townhome up in Mission Valley I was talking about. And she was a good friend. I met her at a music festival down here in San Diego. And like we just like, she hit me up on LinkedIn one day and was like, hey, like I see that like you're posting stuff, like I'm actually interested in looking, like can we start looking for stuff? And I was like, sure, absolutely. So I help her out, and like I said, the escrow process for her was like really tricky. There was a lot of stuff that went wrong, but we figured it out, like just like it stressful time, but got it closed. And we showed up on closing day, and man, that girl, when I handed her keys, started sobbing. And keep in mind, she was 28 at the time. I was like, why are you so sad? She's like, no, I'm just so happy. I'm the first homeowner in my family. Like, and it's like, oh my God, like her parents rented, you know, like she didn't come from a lot of money. Like she's like the first like homeowner in like her family, like that. And she just, the trajectory of her life is going to change forever. Like her financial situation, like building equity in that home. And right now she wanted to turn around and sell it and have an extra $200,000 sitting in her bank account. There's nothing better than seeing how you're changing someone's life for the better. There's nothing better. There's no better feeling than that.
Yeah, that's so cool. I mean, that's ultimately what's the best thing for us. I mean, I feel like we both found something where we're in sales, but really we're just developing relationships and helping people for a living and getting to talk, you know, and move around and not be stuck in the office if we don't have to, and still can, you know, have actions that will generate us revenue, you know.
Nicely.
Let's just go on. I'm dying for this part. All you guys that have tuned in, best for last. Crypto, stocks, let's go. Have you done anything about ApeCoin, by the way? Have you seen that? Are you in on the hype?
I don't know anything about ApeCoin, and that might be something that you could educate me on a little bit, because I'm not a super active trader like nowadays, like because I'm so busy with everything. I've kind of shifted like my short
In
term.
and out.
Yeah, I know. If I do short term things, it's like the OTC market or in like small caps, and I've got a really good finance buddy who like I work with like on ththese type of things, and I will send each other stuff back and forth. But he's significantly smarter than I am when it comes to this stuff, so I usually trust his judgment, and I'll invest in like I've got a lot of long term stuff. I invest in a lot of like ETFs and index funds, like just like for
That's good.
like a bank account that appreciates, like if I don't have time to like constantly do it. But I have my personal favorite ones. Like I've got a bunch of Disney because I'm a Marvel nerd, I'm a Star Wars nerd. Like I know what I'm investing in, so I'm gonna put my money there. I've got obviously Apple, I've got the like Berkshire Hathaways, I've got Microsofts in there. Like you've got like your big player blue chips, but like as far as stocks go, like I don't have more than like 3 or 4 like quick flips at a time, and those are easy. It's like it's a 10 cents, I assume it'll go to 15 cents or 13 cents in the next whatever, and I just set sell limits, and every once in a while I'll get a notification on my phone like your trade went through for this. Nah, you made a couple $100. It's like, cool, I can go buy myself a burrito now. Nice. Cryptocurrency is a little bit different for me. I even have a more passive, except for like 2. I have like a very, very passive, like, oh, made a little extra profit, nowhere to put it, boom, throw it into Ethereum, boom, throw it into like Bitcoin or Litecoin or whatever.
Man, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It's good.
my thing with cryptocurrency right now is I actually am working on a mining company. I have a mining company right now.
What? Okay. Tell me a little more.
So
You have a
this is
mining
like I'm
company?
like kind of, it's not like my company. I'm kind of like helping out with it.
Okay.
So my dad had a buddy. My dad has a really good buddy named Jeff, and he started doing this whole like Bitcoin mining thing. I'd say within the last 2 years, like just as it's like, cause he's very techy, so he's got like 4 of these machines running in his house, and the simplest way to describe it is it's literally a money machine. You turn it on, you get money every month. That's it. Like that's all it is. But these machines cost like anywhere between $6,000 and $12,000 for the really good ones.
Right.
So what blockchain is, and what like what these computers do is, Bitcoin is essentially this giant algorithm. So imagine you're given this block, right? And it's just a block of math equations. And what this computer does is it just solves the math equations until it gets to the center of this block, and boom, that wasn't supposed to happen. But you get a Bitcoin out of it, or you get something out of it. Like you get a certain amount and it sends it off into the ether or whatever, and it rewards you by paying you out in Bitcoin. Well, with the price of Bitcoin being at 50,000, these machines were pumping out anywhere between like, I think it was like around, average was about $1,000 a month, just from literally doing nothing other than turning it on. So he had a couple of these machines working, and he was setting up these machines at all of his buddies' houses. And then my dad got involved with it and set up a couple of machines out at his house. And then we've put them out at like our Yuma lake house because energy out there is so cheap. And somehow word got to this big hedge fund, and they contacted them and say, hey, we want to give you a couple $1 million to build a facility, and we want a couple hundred of these machines in there, and we'll bring in like outside investors and whatnot into this, and we just want you to like go kind of crazy with this. I know very, very minimal about this, so I'm just kind of like relaying the message over. So what they're doing is, how their business is working is, they're going to build it out in Yuma, like where my Airbnb I just purchased is, and where our vacation home is, because energy out there is ridiculously cheap. They bought a big shipping container, and they're going to put a number of these Bitcoin mining machines in there. And essentially, if you track the trajectory of like where Bitcoin is going, you're guaranteed $1,000 a month, like at that point, if you're investing into this. So there's a certain amount that you invest into the fund, and then as time goes on, the fund grows as the price of Bitcoin grows as well, and you're guaranteed a certain amount of income, like month over month, or however like they like take it out and whatnot. And what it does is this creates a asset-backed cryptocurrency company. So what they're going to do with it is they're calling this company GenCoin Capital. They're going to create a coin that has this company back to it, because not a lot of coins have what do you call it, like actual assets backing them. It's just
Right.
kind of like the hype, or like the algorithm, or like the online currency function of Bitcoin. This is a legitimate asset backed company with like physical like equipment and machinery, and it's got like a consistent reliable income factor as well. Again, I'm butchering this. I haven't like read over, like I literally have like these, if you ever wanted to know more, or if you wanted me to like go into a little bit more, this is literally like Martinez Lake, like mining. Like I could literally go into this entire thing about like the different machines they use, like the different like how like the whole like how their system works, like in like wet cooling. I don't know. This is like a very, very preliminary thing compared to like the 50-page document that like the cryptocurrency nerds and everything know about. I'm just trying to say that like we're starting something that like I don't think has been like, yeah, there's mining farms all over the place. I've seen videos online of like people doing them. There's actually some actually out in Yuma already that probably have like 10 or 20 machines in them. We're building like a significantly more massive machine. We're actually in construction for it right now. But that's the level of cryptocurrency that I'm involved with right now.
That's awesome.
My other crypto accounts are kind of just like savings accounts for a rainy day.
Long term. That's what it's all about, man. That's so cool. Yeah, I think anything that generates you recurring revenue is something to be in on, and that sounds like a huge recurring revenue.
Yeah, so tell me about the ApeCoin. I'm very curious.
Yeah, so ApeCoin, it's backed by have you seen the Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT that all the
yeah, things everywhere. I don't understand that either. That stresses me out knowing that that's a thing.
Doesn't matter. What matters is all these people with money are behind it, and they put an extra $750 million, a specific company that's backing this ApeCoin. So it was like at $10 the other day. Now it's at like 14. And now the people are saying it's supposed to go to 25 or whatever. But what's interesting and why people are doing it is because, you know, people that are involved with the project, the NFT project, fucking Snoop Dogg, Meek Mill, all the huge artists and other people within that kind of big circle of the entertainment industry. But the biggest thing is that there's just a lot of money behind it. So people are kind of just getting in and then getting out, because I don't know what the long term is on this. I think it's more of a pump and dump, but hey, if you can make some money off of it, why not? By the way, we're not financial advisors. We're not advising you to do anything. Go do your own due diligence, because we don't advise. We just share a little bit of our 2 cents.
Absolutely. I'm actually pulling up the chart for it right now because I'm very curious. Yeah, it says it's at, so this thing IPO'd at, like they initially IPO'd this thing at $28. Drops down, it drops down, and it starts trading in like the nines, the tens, and it's right at 13 right now.
Oh, was that like 14 yesterday?
Yesterday it hit 1573. Yeah, so like right now it's trading at 1328. So I'm actually going to make a note of this because I love getting like throwing $500 into something like this. Like
it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah.
I threw 500 into Shiba last August. That's sitting pretty right now.
That's sitting pretty right now.
Yeah.
So, check it out, man. Check it out. There's a lot of hype behind it, but more importantly, a lot of big names and a lot of big money behind it. So it's gonna pump.
I'm hoping what I would like to do, like for things like this, like if I were to give any financial advice, which I am not a financial advisor by any means, I always think like if you can make 30% on your money, like in less than 2 months, just pull it out. Like you just made 30% on your money. If you threw in $100 and you made $130, like take it out. Like you beat the market by more than double what it's supposed to do in a year. You won. At that point, you're just getting greedy. I've actually missed out on some trades in my time where it went like let's say for example I bought it at 10, it goes to 25, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna keep going, drops to $3. You know, it's like, and I didn't pull out at all, so I just lost all my money. I watched it go up, didn't pull out, and I've done that so many times that that's why I set the limits now. I set the limits, like I make my 30%, I get out, and then I put a stop limit on there as well, because if I don't, I'm gonna just hate my life. more and more from making the same mistakes over and over again. But I'm definitely going to check out ApeCoin. I definitely, it's not, like I said, I know a good amount about it. I'm a finance guy, I'm a crypto guy, but I'm not as knowledgeable as I have like friends that are extremely like they're beating the streets about it, like real estate. If you want to
Ask them and see what they say and let me know, because man, I think it's a good one, bro.
That's what I'm saying. If I got a little extra change to throw into it, just like, it's like, okay, whatever. Let's see what happens. Same thing with Doge. Like I think I bought Doge at like 30 cents and I was okay with when it hit like 50. I was like, cool. Okay. I know it's not going to get to $1. Whatever. I'll take it. Whatever.
Yeah, you can't get greedy in this shit, man. You get greedy and then that's where you lose it all.
Mm-hmm.
Any other extra tips that most people overlook when it comes to real estate before we tune out?
This is one thing I will say: get pre-approved before you come and talk to me. Or if you're actually serious and you want to come and talk to me, that's awesome. I've got great partners over at Cardinal Financial. We can get you pre-approved in 48 hours. But if you're serious about real estate, be serious about getting pre-approved, because that's like, we literally can't even go look at properties without a pre-approval. I mean, you can look at properties. But Mark, let's say I take you to a property tomorrow. You just want to look at it. Just want to see what's out there. Oh my God, this is perfect. I'm in love with it. I need this property right now. Okay, cool. Where's your pre-approval letter and proof of funds? Well, I didn't do that. I'm like, well, what do you like? Okay, so let's get you pre-approved. Like, I'll send you over to Cardinal Financial. Let's say we rush this and we get it in 48 hours. Property's probably gone in 48 hours, pal. Like in this market, you need all of your artillery and ready to go. For all my clients that were looking at properties, I already have the offer, essentially the format, like the template written out, like already before we go. I've got their proof of funds. I got the letter to the sellers. I've got their pre-approval letter. I've got like the whole like format of like the actual like RPA like offer. I've got my cover letter in there. I've got every little detail ready to go before we ever go and view that property. So that way, let's say Sean and Doreen, my clients, like they want to write an offer on that property right now, boom, send it out to sign. You'll have that in your inbox in 5 minutes. I just need to adjust the price, the contingencies, and how much we're putting down. So get pre-approved, have the proof of funds ready to go. My suggestion is always, unless you are doing roommates have done, like always be ready to put down 20%. A lot of offers don't even get looked at like under 20% nowadays.
Sorry, it's cutting out. Geez, no. Why is it cutting out?
Sweet.
Man, it's not. Hello. Why is it doing this?
Can you see me at all?
No, I can't. Oh, there we go. Now we can.
Okay. Says internet connection is unknown. Let me turn on my phone. Not like I'm talking to anybody right now. See if that helps.
There we
go.
Did
that do anything?
I don't know. I think I can see you now. I don't know.
Okay, cool. Sweet, man. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I think this is a great starting point for now. So everybody that's tuned in, Big Fish tuned in and gave some facts on what's going on in the market right now. Kaden, man, thank you for your time. You joined Office of the Day. It won't be the first. It won't be the last. It's definitely the first. Any last thoughts?
No, man, Mark, thanks for having me. Like, thanks for like doing this. Like again, like you're my first podcast I've ever done. I've been in the industry for a while. Like, I feel like I've got a good amount of like knowledge that I'd like to share with people. Anybody that's like looking to get into real estate, just make sure that you're ready to dedicate your time, be ready to eat shit for a couple years, and like before you like get your clientele and you prove yourself. Other than that, like get out there and buy a house, or if you're looking about selling a house, go out there and buy a house and then sell your house. 1031 exchange that. Make some money right now. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of money out there and a lot of opportunities to make money. So just got to be strategic.
All right, you guys. And by the way, I'll leave all of his information down below. If you do like what he has had to say and has to offer, he's credible, he's valuable, he's valuable, and the information he can provide is highly and even more valuable in some aspect. So I'll leave all of his information down below. Go ahead and contact him. Worst case scenario, you know, you took a look at it, but make sure you do it with the pre-approval.
Yes, sir.
All
Yeah,
right.
thanks for everything, man.
I'm going to text you right now. Thanks for your time.
Perfect. Have a good one, dude.
All right.